So let's talk about being alone on Christmas by choice versus out of obligation. Because the first batch of people that are alone on Christmas by choice, it is because they choose to be alone because they don't want to deal with certain people, certain family members. They want to protect their peace. But then you have the other group of people that are alone on Christmas because they are forced to be, because out of obligation, because people don't want to be around them. So they're alone because they live alone. Their children and family members don't come to visit them. So they're all by themselves, bitter, grouchy, and alone. But let's get into it and let's break it down. So, first, let's start with the people that are alone on Christmas because they choose to be. Those that are very independent, they like their solitude, they like their space, they like being to themselves, and they actually have a preference for being alone, especially on holidays like something like Christmas, because they just choose to protect their peace. And let's break down why, like where people have gotten to this point. It's because in multiple situations, multiple occasions, multiple years, they have gone several years consecutively where Christmas, a holiday filled with joy, has not brought them joy, where they have been around, and this is especially to like the black sheep of the family. They've gone around their family members, and this is just more of a reason for the family to scapegoat the scapegoat child. Because now that everybody is together, the dynamic of the scapegoat is to be the target of ridicule, to be the butt of everybody's jokes, to be the one that people mock and make fun of. To where when people want to have a good laugh, they have to point and laugh and taunt the scapegoat, and everybody else is laughing except the scapegoat because they don't find it funny. And let's just get into that real quick. It's not that a scapegoat is thin-skinned or that they are too sensitive or that they are too uptight. It's just because nobody wants to do that after so long. Where there's a major difference between someone laughing with you and someone laughing at you. There's a difference between a person genuinely joking with you and a person just blatantly mocking you and making fun of you. Because one is with pure intention and it's coming from a place of love, and one is coming from an ill will, malicious place and it's intended to harm. Because the scapegoat has awakened to realize that all the times that the family makes fun of them and bullies them and pokes jokes at them and makes them the butt of all of their jokes, or they shame them and embarrass them, they just get so tired of the family going out of their way to cause them harm, where they can't even relax on a holiday like Christmas and enjoy time with their families because their peace is compromised. Now their self-esteem is affected. Now the family is projecting so much shame onto them. And the scapegoat has to, they have to take this shame. They have to absorb it. And if they're not, they have to absorb it, they can internalize it. And they have those moments where it happens. They may not want to absorb it, but if they don't know how to get rid of it, they tend to absorb that shame. They tend to internalize it, and it affects their nervous system. It affects their self-esteem. It affects their mood. And now they're upset. Now they're not having a good time. And while the rest of these other family members are having a good time, laughing, kiki ha ha, the scapegoat is now feeling miserable. And it should not have to be that way where everyone else is having a good time except the scapegoat. Because it doesn't matter if it's a birthday or a holiday, the scapegoat doesn't ever seem to be exempt from the ridicule. It's like anytime the scapegoat is around, people act like, oh, we could just go ahead and fulfill the narrative and just keep treating the scapegoat like shit. And eventually the scapegoat gets tired of that. A scapegoat gets tired of having always laughs shut off and having to pretend that things don't bother them, because the scapegoat is worthy of respect. The scapegoat is just as worthy to be able to come around their family and not be mocked, not be bullied, not be made fun of. You know, I saw this quote where they said that the scapegoat, like the reason why people scapegoat is because people deem lives less worthy than others. Or they look at lives that are less important than others, and that's not right. The scapegoat's life is just as important as everybody else's. And people, like the family, wants to just mistreat the scapegoat so much, and they expect the scapegoat to just sit there and take it, and the scapegoat doesn't have to take that. So it's tiring, it's exhausting, it's draining, because it's not pouring love into them. It's pouring hatred into them. It's abusing them once again. And then the scapegoat has to sit back and watch the favoritism play itself out in the form of Christmas presents. You know, watching their siblings getting Christmas presents, getting everything that they want, while the scapegoat opens up presents and they don't get a thing that they ask for. They don't get anything that they need. They don't get anything that they want. They just get random things that the parent just decides to give to them without little to no thought. They'll even have things where the scapegoat will get clothes from the parent that they can't even fit. It won't even be their size. It'll be too big or it's too small. And then the scapegoat is just left once again disappointed. Or even they have times where the scapegoat is watching everybody else get Christmas presents, but the scapegoat doesn't get a goddamn thing. They're once again abused. They're once again projected all of that shame onto them. And that's not fair to the scapegoat. They don't want to come around to their family to feel like an outcast, to feel like an outsider, to face oppression by their own families. It's tiring. It's exhausting. They don't want to have to deal with that anymore. And why should they? Because the family says, hey, come around, because they just want everyone to be around so they can take their pictures and show off on social media or show off to their friends and say, look, I had all of my kids here. But you had a child that was the scapegoat child that was having a horrible time the entire time. And don't let it be vacations and then the scapegoat is stuck dealing with all of this shit. And it's like they can't escape. And the scapegoat, they come around their families and they don't feel fulfilled. They don't feel warmth. They don't feel love. They just feel coldness, abuse, and just a lack of joy, a lack of fulfillment. So that's why the scapegoat awakens to realize, I don't deserve this. I deserve better. Somewhere within their soul is screaming at them, telling you, you don't deserve this. You deserve better. And when they know that they deserve better, they pull back and they go get better. And if what they deserve better is them just being by themselves, being in the comfort of their own home, not leaving their home that day, not going out to visiting the family, not going around on Christmas, they would rather be by themselves and have their own peace than going around other people that are going to disturb their peace. And that's what they're going to do. So if you just like when the scapegoat decides to not go out and go visit the family on Christmas, don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up for it. You are doing the right thing for yourself, because let me tell you, it wasn't going to change. Even if you would have went to your family, it would have been the same exact ordeal, because they have been committing a pattern against you. And by you breaking out of that pattern, you're breaking the cycle. So now it's like, because you're not coming around, they can't ridicule you. They can't target you. Because if they cannot treat you with respect, they don't deserve your presence. And lastly, you have those family members that are mean, bitter, and grouchy, are just so abusive, so mean. Usually it's these narcissistic parents. The narcissistic parents, their children, their adult children don't come to visit them, don't spend the holidays with them. They're all alone. They're forced to clean up the house by themselves. They're forced to spend the entire day by themselves because no one wants to be around them, because narcissistic parents especially ruin the holidays. They steal everybody else's joy. They make everybody else miserable, and no one wants to be around that. So those narcissistic parents that are alone on Christmas, that's what they deserve. That's their karma for how they treated their children all those years. All the abuse that they put their children through, that's exactly why they are alone. That's what they deserve because they can't get it together.